The graph of the function f of x equals mx plus b contains the points r, 3, and 7s. Express s in terms of r if the graph is parallel to the line 3x minus 2y equals 7. Before we start working, let's look at the directions. We're asked to find s in terms of r. That means when we're finished, we should have s equals some expression, and r should be in that other expression. Well, let's see what we begin with what we know. We know that the line we're looking for is parallel to 3x minus 2y equals 7. And we know that the line contains the points r3 and 7s. That's really 3 pieces of information. Let's start by looking for the slope of the line. The slope of the line we're looking for is the same slope as 3x minus 2y equals 7. So let's solve that for y. We have 3x minus 2y equals 7. Subtracting 3x from both sides gives us negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 7. And multiplying everything through by negative 1/2, we have y equals 3/2 x minus 7/2. That tells us that the slope of the line we're looking for is 3/2. Now remember, this line we're looking for is in the form f of x equals mx plus b. And now we know the slope, so we can write that as f of x equals 3/2 x plus b. And that's all the information we can get out of the statement that the line is parallel to 3x minus 2y equals 7. Now let's work with the next statement that the line contains the point r3. That means that f of r equals 3, or we can write it as 3 equals 3/2 r plus b. The next statement tells us that 7s is on the line. That means that s, which is the function value or the y value, equals 3/2 times 7 plus b. Now we have an equation with r and b, an equation with s and b. Let's solve for b in both of these equations. Here, if we subtract 3/2 r, we'll solve for b. So we have 3 minus 3/2 r equals b. And over here, if we subtract 3/2 times 7, well, that would be 21/2. Subtract that from both sides, we would solve for b. We would have s minus 21/2 equals b. Now, what's going to happen, we have this is equal to b, and this is equal to b, so 3 minus 3/2 r has to be equal to s minus 21 over 2. And what's neat is when we write that, there's no b left in the equation. 3 minus 3/2 r, which is b, equals s minus 21/2, which is also b. Now remember, we're to solve for s in terms of r, and we're almost there. If we add 21/2 to both sides, we would be solving for s. So we have s equals 21/2 plus 3, I'm going to write that as 6/2, minus 3/2 r. 21/2 plus 6/2 is 27/2. So let me rewrite this, the order, so it's clear. I would have s equals 27/2 minus 3/2 r. And now I've expressed s in terms of r.